All right, good morning. We get to talk about Pythagoras today, or the Pythagorean Theorem. And this is all about right triangles. So the first thing we need to understand are the parts of the right triangle. We have what they call the legs. Those are the two lines that create that right angle in the corner there. Okay, so even if the triangle was flipped around, it's whichever two lines create that right angle. Okay, so you'll see here that they are always going to be the shorter sides. The hypotenuse would always be the longest side. Yes, that's a funny word. Hypotenuse is how you pronounce that. The hypotenuse is always the longest side, or, as you see here, the side that's opposite that right angle. Okay, you need to know that because this is what the formula is. You see this on my little bag that I carry. The Pythagorean theorem says that in any right triangle, has to be a right triangle, that if you add up the squares of the legs, you will equal the square of the hypotenuse. So the way that they show that is always like this. They call the legs A and B, and it doesn't matter which one's which. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and the C is always the hypotenuse. Okay? So how do we use that A squared plus B squared equals C squared? We simply substitute the lengths into the formula. So if you have a triangle that has one leg that's 4 and one leg that's 8, you're going to be able to put those into the A and the B spots because those are the legs. Then you actually do anything you can using our order of operations, undo anything, and then just remember, when you undo squaring, it's taking the square root of. So easiest thing to do here is to look at an example. So here's our right triangle. I know I didn't draw the little corner there, but I think I did, and it just didn't show up. Here's our Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we're going to substitute or plug in any numbers we know. These two are the legs. So we plug in the 4 for one leg, the 10 for the other leg. Okay, and we're looking for the length of the hypotenuse. So we do whatever we can. I know how to square that. That becomes 16. I know how to square that. That becomes 100. Oh, can't do anything with that yet. So now that I still have something I can't do, I have to undo it. So undoing the square is square rooting it. So I square root both sides, and I get C. Okay, if I take C and square it and then I unsquare it, I get C. And you'll almost always, unless it's a perfect square, you will almost always get a long decimal when you square root this number. We will, again, use our rule of thumb, rounding to the 10th, or 1 decimal place. So the square root of 116, we're going to go with 10.8. And this would be inches. So the length of this hypotenuse is 10.8 inches. All right, let's try.